Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
And I want to welcome to the program author Sarah Wildman. Sarah, thanks for calling and thanks for stopping by the studios today. I'm sure you're really enjoying the Miami Book Fair, aren't you?
I am. It's an amazing experience. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's what going into being invited to the Miami Book Fair. There's nothing like it, is there? Really, truly.
Well, last night I had my celebrity crush moment when I met Judy Blume. That for me was sort of the pinnacle moment of complete starstruck, author joy. But yeah, I mean, to be in this context, to be on the roster with these names and these incredible writers who I've read for years and years, and obviously not just Judy Blume, but across the board from political writers to fiction writers. It's a privilege. It's pretty amazing.
What would you say is your most fun experience so far at the book fair?
Well, I have my kids here, so
that could be fun because there's so many great activities for the kids there, for sure.
It's super fun. There's tons to do. There's music and dancing and storytelling, and my kids also speak Spanish, so it's nice that there's a tremendous amount in Spanish as well. And I think it's a great experience for them both to see the joy of words in this way, and especially we limit screen time anyway, but just to see how many people are celebrating the written word on pages, real pages, I think it's great for kids to see that. And, and I think it's a cool experience for them to see their mom in this context as well.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, selling the written word and being able to show people, show your kids basically that other people are not on their screens all the time. They're reading, they're discussing. What it brings back to the time of when we used to communicate with each other, Sarah. We used to be able to communicate with each other via face-to-face. We would sit down and have read a relaxing book, not being stuck in the digital world that sometimes gets us pretty much we want to unplug at times, right?
Yeah, very much. I mean, and that connects back to my book, if I might say. My book's called Paper Love, and it starts with letters. The book is the search for the lover my grandfather left behind when he fled Vienna, and I discovered her because of her letters. And these were letters that were held and kept, secret from my grandmother for decades and decades. And, I often wonder, what will kids today have? I mean, even my generation, I sort of straddle the generation of, those of us who wrote to each other and then got cell phones later. But, even when I was in high school, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't text. We wrote each other letters still. And I think that there's something about the permanence of the page in a way that I'd like my kids to have a sense of, that there's something about what we think about when we write something down that's not meant to disappear right away, that we're supposed to hold on to, that maybe requires a little bit more thought. And, I think the book fair really celebrates that and, celebrates the kind of immediacy and also intellectual stimulation of something that has taken a great deal of thought. And, all of us here obviously have spent a great deal of time on these books. But, I think for kids, and that's why it's nice that there's a big kids section, but, and also for authors, too, to reaffirm for us that, we're not alone swirling in our, little universes, alone in our offices typing away, that there are a lot of people that still celebrate this.
And the written letter, as you said, is a lost art. People handwriting a letter to somebody and going and so tracing those letters back is a tremendous story in so many ways, because where do we make the best connection? We make our personal connections from meeting people face to face, and also that handwritten letter, that time when we got a letter from a teacher, or we got a letter from one of our friends, or different things, and pen pals. It's a very powerful thing and a powerful connection. Well, I think that there's something to this. There have been a bunch of stories, books that have come out recently around letter writing, and especially letter writing from the 40s, which is what I was looking at, 30s and 40s. And, I think that this was a time when, of course, people it wasn't even just that they didn't have text each other. They didn't even necessarily pick up the phone because that was expensive to do. And so, therefore, they recorded their lives in a different way, and they were thoughtful in a different way, and they connected in a way
through the written word and had a permanence to it. You know, I still actually have all the letters that I wrote between friends and, you know, from camp or from summer programs or even in college. When I lived abroad during college, I have all these letters. And now the difference is, for example, a friend of mine got married this past spring, and I dug through an old email account to find the first meeting with the woman that she ended up marrying, and everybody said, "Oh, I can't believe you still have that Hotmail account and you were able to find the email. That's amazing that still exists." And it's strange if you think about it, because our grandparents and our parents used to have always collections of letters. I mean, maybe you didn't keep everything because, of course, you know, what I found was a collection of letters that my grandfather had kept, and it was hidden in a box labeled patient correspondence. And I sort of idly took it apart. This is a couple of years after my grandparents had died, and my grandparents' house had been broken up, and we had all taken pieces of their house to our various homes. And this was in my parents' basement. And in the box was not patient correspondence at all. It was dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds really, of letters from all of his exploded Viennese world. My grandfather had escaped Vienna in the fall of '38, and this box was filled with the letters of those left behind. And it was the atomic impact of the war in postmark. You know, so Budapest, Bucharest, Lyon, Berlin, Paris, Shanghai, Tel Aviv, Brooklyn, San Francisco, all these people who never were again assembled. And some of them are desperate because they're caught in the Reich. And it's this moment caught on paper. And the desperation, you can see, increases as, you know, the war progresses. And literally the handwriting changes. It becomes more aggressive. It bleeds through the paper. You can feel the energy of what's happening around them through the way they wrote. And they're very literary. You know, they're very beautiful writers. It's not a quick dash off, you know, grab me milk at the store and pick up some TP at CVS on your way home, as you would in a text. It's, you know, this really intensely beautiful writing that's layered, and it's also kind of speaking to the deprivations that they're under because his world is entirely Jewish.
It's fascinating when you talk about this, and with it, the Ancestry.com getting such popularity now and tracing back things, it's people are so interested in learning about this and so interested in your amazing journey. And I wish we definitely had more time to chat about this. But Sarah, I mean, you going through this with your grandfather, going through this journey to find out what happened and to investigate. I'm sure you did a lot of research, not just those letters, and met a lot of amazing people and learned and really uncovered a mystery for sure, right?
I did. And in fact, it's funny you mentioned Ancestry.com because they go through archives, you know, in the United States. And I went through archives in Germany, Austria, the Czech Republic, London, and Israel, and in this country. And I discovered an integrated community that I had never known before. I discovered that the story I'd been told of my grandfather's escape was not exactly what I'd been told, that he had left behind all sorts of people, not because he wanted to, but because he had to. And in the end, I discovered this love story about this amazing woman who had studied with him at the University of Vienna Medical School and what she'd gone through during these years between the big moments of war, right? So when you think about this period, you think of, you know, Pearl Harbor, or you think about, you know, Jews being forced to wear a star or being sent to a camp, but you don't think about the day-to-day life, about when their humanity was stripped from them day by day by day, if you were living in Berlin, as she was. So there's all these mysteries rolled together, and I go to all those places. So it's kind of a love affair, and a love affair with geography as well. So you feel and see the city in the same way that you would almost in your archaeological dig, but I did it in an urban context. So
no,
you're going to these cities.
But because of TLC and because of all these things, your book is going to be very, very popular to lots of people, because my wife just lost her father, and she went back in their family history on Ancestry.com, and just people are so interested in these things, and they love to know these tales. And then you also talk about the difficulties that you went through in that time in Austria and things like that lead to more and more discussion. I have a feeling, Sarah, you'll write some more books about this for sure. I don't think this is the end of your writing about this. Am I correct about that?
I think you're right. Yeah. I mean, I love looking back, and I'm not surprised that Ancestry.com has been so incredibly popular. I just think we all of us want to use the past to understand who we are today. We really need it in some way. It grounds us. It allows us to shape our sense of self. And I think that all of us like to understand that, in some ways, Ancestry.com was great for me in terms of finding the ship manifest that my grandfather came on. I mean, so many of us are accidental Americans by choices made by those who came before us. And understanding what that means is huge for understanding who we are.
Absolutely. So where can we purchase your book, Sarah, and learn more about you? Where can we go?
So the book is called Paper Love, Searching for the Girl My Grandfather Left Behind. It's on Amazon. It's in every bookstore, I hope, Barnes & Noble, and, Powell's, anywhere you can, and also, your local independent bookstore, hopefully.
Oh, definitely promote that. That's the lifeblood of keeping that interesting things going for sure.
Absolutely. So I really appreciate you talking to me about it. And, I think that it's a story that it will resonate with a lot of people who really like to look backwards as well as forwards and understand how the past shapes our present.
Well, it's perfect to have you guys back to back. Learning this story and then also the Klaus story back to back is fantastic in so many ways because history is such an important thing. We can't forget our past, especially what's going on in our future and the present. And that's why I have an undergrad in history because I really love discussing history. And it was an interesting story. I wish I had you on longer, but best of luck. Enjoy the rest of the book fair. And I hope to be in touch with you some other time to come back on Author's Corner, okay?
I would love that. Thank you so much again for having me.
All right, Sarah, take care. Okay,
talk
bye-bye.
to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're listening to Author's Corner, powered by Life Improvement Radio, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're live at the Miami Book Fair, powered by Life Improvement Radio, the Toll Education Network, TollTutor.net for more information. Twitter, Toll Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley, Instagram, Toll Tutor, Pinterest, Neil Haley, and Google+, Neil Haley. And the Miami Book Fair series continues. I'll be sad to say goodbye to all of it, especially I think it was 6 weeks straight of interviewing 4 authors before our almost 7.5 hours of broadcasting live this weekend in the Miami Book Fair, interviewing most interesting authors for sure. The stories I have in 4 years live, and I guess in promoting it's quite interesting, and I have learned so much. I mean, it's amazing the amount of stuff I've learned. Again, go to my website, tolltutor.net. You can follow me at Twitter, as we're going to be posting a lot of these interviews that have taken place in the last 6 to 7 weeks via my Twitter and my Author's Corner Facebook fan page, Author's Corner. Just type in Author's Corner, facebook.com/Author's Corner.
Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Life Improvement Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the expressed written consent of Life Improvement Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.